We will not have airborne vehicles flying in here this evening, so you're welcome to come closer to the front if you like. But we got the crowd from the hall, hopefully. I'll stand behind the fancy hardware. So good evening, everyone, and welcome. My name is Paul Briscoe. It's my privilege to be the chair of the Toronto section, and on behalf of the board, I'd like to welcome you back to another season of SMPTE meetings. And tonight's meeting, I think, is a pretty exciting one to kick the season off with. So exciting, in fact, I will go ahead and actually bore you with some boilerplate up in front of the meeting so that it all gets better from here. First order of business, the elections are presently underway for the position of SMPTE Executive Vice President. Normally the senior positions in SMPTE at head office are pretty much done by acclamation. You work your way up the food chain. And we haven't had one of these elections in a while, but this year we have two contenders for the position of Executive VP. One of them is Matthew Goldman of Erickson from New York section. Matthew's been long involved with the SMPTE, and Matthew is a one flavor of stereotypical New Yorker. He's very aggressive and he's a heck of a guy and he's a strong contributor. The other, however, is our very own Paul Steckley. Paul Steckley is the president of Applied Electronics here in Toronto and coast to coast and around the world and probably across the universe by now. Paul has had a very long involvement with SMPTE. He's been section chair, he's been a manager here. He's occupied several management positions in SMPTE. He's currently the executive vice president, or vice president of membership is his title. And his company, Applied, has been incredibly gracious and generous to the Toronto section, sponsoring many meetings and getting behind a lot of things we do. Our boot camp wouldn't be possible without the contributions of Applied and so on. So we have a local guy and we have a New Yorker running in this election, and I would like to encourage you all to vote in this election. And although with my chair's hat on I cannot, however with my chair's sunglasses off, I can tell you my personal opinion is Mr. Steckley deserves your support. So rather than ignore the ballot, perhaps you can help our section contribute the executive vice president for the next 2 years to SMPTE. He will also be the executive vice president during the centennial of SMPTE, which will get Toronto section front and center. So please vote in the election. It closes, Craig, you said 26th. So please vote. You will have the ballot in your inbox somewhere. Your spam filter may have caught it. And if you really don't like Paul Steckley, then vote for Matt Goldman. Or if you don't like Matt and you know him really well, by all means vote for him. He's a fine guy. But personally, I'd like to suggest everybody research Paul Steckley. His bio is on the SMPTE website, and if you feel inclined to vote for him, I'm sure he'd appreciate your support. I'd like to welcome some potential guests. We've sent invitations out to the CSC and to IATSE. Do we have any members from CSC or IATSE here tonight? We do. Welcome. Thank you very much for coming. Hope you find this fun and interesting and go home and tell all your other colleagues about the fun stuff we do at these meetings. And they're always welcome, and please come to our meetings. We'd love to see you more often. Also like to do a shout out. We have some new members. I don't know if they're in the audience or not, but if I shout your name and you happen to be in the audience, I expect you to stand up. Oh, please. Colin Carter. Catherine Panazopoulos. Salim Tupsi. Ryan Wheatley. Ravi Dutt. Dennis Rondeau. Daryl Sauerlicker. Okay, so we're going to have to send an email, Tony, to all these guys and tell them if they want to be members, they got to come to the meeting. Anyway, welcome our new members. That's wonderful. Also want to talk briefly about meeting topics. And I've said this several times before, and I get this little pitch out of the way. Every one of you does something interesting enough to come and tell us about it. Our meetings have always been a big meeting with 2 or 3 big presentations, and you think, oh my goodness, it's a great big thing, I can't possibly contribute to that. We want to change that. I would like every meeting to have 1 or 2 10-minute presentations from people who are going to come up and talk about some interesting thing they're doing, some interesting thing they've learned about, something that's changing, something that's evolving, something that's going away, and you can tell us a bit of history about it. So please go on the website, find our email addresses, drop us an email and say, hey, you know, I just garbage picked a pair of quad ESL loudspeakers from such and such a studio, and I took them home and rebuilt them, and I want to tell the history of quad electrostatic loudspeakers. I don't know, pick something. Everybody knows something. Please share it with us. Your members, your fellow members, and your colleagues in the industry would love to know about the cool stuff you know about, and just don't have a vehicle to tell it. We'd really like to give you the vehicle and have you come and tell us about it. To that end, though, SMPTE's been asking the membership about topics for meetings. And they got a pretty sad response. So we're going to do a little experiment here tonight. I'm going to read out that same list of topics that SMPTE has compiled as being the top topics they received from their survey, and I'd like to show of hands from people who feel these would be useful topics. And think critically. So if a topic is interesting, oh, that sounds neat, but really doesn't mean anything to you, don't put your hand up. But if you think it's interesting, if you think it's something you'd like to learn about, let us know. And Tony, where are you? Are you all set, Tony, to do a count of hands? Tony's all set. So these are the topics that came up in the SMPTE survey. What do you think? Essential color science. How many people feel essential color science is useful to learn? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All right? All right. Modern display technologies and types. Everybody has a good handle on modern display technologies and types. Everybody knows what a reference monitor is nowadays. 5, okay. Essential video principles and applications for IT professionals and others. Everybody's got their infrastructure in hand. Good work. Cloud or distributed production and post-production. Who wants to learn more about cloud distributed production and post-production? All right. Video over IP and professional media facilities, including live production, including live baseband production. Ah, good. That did put up some names. I figured it would. Software-defined networks and virtualization. Little hint, if you put your hand up to the last one, you ought to put your hand up to this one. Essential image processing. Wow. Wow. Strong response. Very good. Understanding UHD-TV1, UHD-TV2, 2K, 4K, and 8K systems. Nice. Nice. We developed standards in this organization. Kind of nice you want to know about them. Understanding key SMPTE standards. That's interesting. All right. Principles of high dynamic range, expanded color gamut, and higher frame rates. Yes, it is a hot topic. Oh, don't keep those hands up. Tony's counting. I don't count them. Principle of storage and long-term archive.
Boring.
Wow. Science and applications of light. A little different from the color science one in ways I'm not entirely sure. Pretty easy count. Audio, principles and application. A little interest in audio, the noise that goes along with the picture. And cameras, evolution of cameras. Wow, good. So I'm actually going to feed this information back to the Society and say we did a poll of our meeting, and here's some additional data points on what people found important. But I also have a question for you, and now's the raise your hand and shout it out time. What else? What other topics would interest you? As an individual, I'm speaking to individuals here. Yo.
Stereoscope.
Stereoscopic. Okay. Tony, are you taking a note on that? Thank you. What other topics would be of interest to people? Yeah.
Stabilizing systems.
Oh, we're going to see a little of that here tonight, I suspect, but stabilizing systems in line with the camera's theme, too. Very good.
So mechanical or electronic? I mean,
yes.
Like image processing or post-processing?
Well, not steady cam, sort of gimbal, but not from the sky. Things that independent photographers can manage.
So stuff done in post? Or?
No, but done, like instead of wearing a steady cam, but doing it not in post, doing it while you're shooting.
Yeah. Oh, the gyro stabilized stuff that's
Yeah.
out there. Yeah.
Maybe you guys already know, but that's my first time at one of your meetings.
Well, if one person knows something, that means nothing. The whole idea is everybody comes here and everybody knows when they
Like
leave.
that's
So
why
great.
I came. I'm interested in these systems, but I mean, I've been using this. Steady cams are just not the thing anymore.
Oh, sure they are. Nothing cooler
I
than
have
steady
one for
cam.
sale.
Really?
Anyone? I do.
Okay. What other topics? Thank you. That's a great topic, and that augments the camera thing nicely. That gives us a good angle out, because at the end of the day, cameras. I mean, how far can you go with camera? Although today it's getting pretty cool. Yeah, Mentor.
Virtual studio.
Virtual studios. Another interesting topic. Absolutely. What else? What else comes to people's minds as something that you say to yourself, damn, I wish I could learn more about this without Googling, or go to SMPTE and...
Codex.
Codex. Oh, codex. They're evolving rapidly. That's interesting. We should learn about HEVC and also what's going on the internet side of the world. Sure. Codex. Suddenly we're filling a good year's worth of topics here. Thank you very much. Any other that come to mind? Yeah?
frame rate for projection.
Frame rate for
Projection, screening.
screening.
Yeah.
Okay. That ties in actually to the high frame rate discussion as well, to some degree in the 4K, 8K.
Shooting and screening.
Shooting and screening.
Yeah.
Okay, so high frame rate. Yeah.
CGI?
CGI. Yeah, you know, CGI was sort of cooked 20 years ago, and then it was cooked 10 years ago, and it's been cooked forever, but it's evolving still to this day, so CGI would be great. And to that end, maybe we can get our friends at Seagraph to come and participate and share an evening with that, because they certainly are the right kind of guy. Yeah?
IP-based content delivery.
IP-based content delivery. Excellent. Excellent. Somebody doesn't like paying for cable. Nobody likes paying for cable. I'm sorry to those of you who sell cable in here, but it's a wonderful world we live in, and that's something we got to learn about. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate your input. One last one. Somebody said, "Oh, I should have put my hand up." Yeah.
Accessibility technologies like
Yes.
closed captioning, moving that to the web.
Accessibility technologies. I think that's a great umbrella. How many people remember Saturday Night Live and closed captioning for the hard of hearing? A very small number. They read the news, and Garrett Morris sat in cut a box over the shoulder, and the newsreader would say, "Here's the news," and Garrett Morris would say, "And here's the news!" And that was in 1975. That was a big joke. Right, thank you very much. I will feed back our numbers as to what was important to the society, because this may also drive the creation of web content at head office. It may drive webinar production. It may drive a number of things outside of us, but it will drive our meeting content as well, and I thank you. Coming up next month, by the way, is our IBC wrap-up meeting. So we're going to have a number of people who've attended IBC bring photos, bring stories, bring the latest and greatest news from IBC, and we're combining that with what we call Gadget Night. And for Gadget Night, I'd like to throw an invitation to all of you. And that invitation is, if you have some keen, cool, gizmo-y thing that you think would be of interest to your colleagues and friends, let us know and bring it and show it. It's show and tell night for cool things. And I have a gizmo I'm going to bring. It's actually completely unrelated to SMPTE in sort of a direct way, but in an indirect way, it's actually quite related. And if anybody else has a gizmo-y thing you've bought or found on eBay from China or built or carved together or know about, whatever, let us know. Drop me an email or drop any of us an email, and we'll discuss with you how we can get you on the agenda for next month's meeting. So it's going to be IBC wrap-up, and it's going to be agenda. And then the last thing I'll leave you with before I hand it off to our organizers for this evening is related to some initiatives of the Toronto Board. We've talked about doing some things here and raising the bar a little bit. The SMPTE Centennial is coming, and we thought it might be an interesting opportunity to try and grow the section a little bit through some other means. So we're going to investigate several things this year, and I throw open to you the invitation to help us. If you would like to participate in one of these initiatives I'm going to just briefly talk about, drop us an email, let us know what your interest is and how you think you can help. We're a small board. We can't do all this stuff ourselves. We certainly can't do it very well ourselves, all of it. And if people would like to help us out, get involved, maybe even join the board, well, now's your chance to start. The ones I wanted to talk to you about tonight were telepresence, the ability, we in the past, we've streamed out meetings as streamed video, and that's worked out okay. Last year, that changed a little bit due to resource availability here at Ryerson, and we've been posting it to YouTube, and people go, and we've seen some traffic. But we want to do better. We want to wait for Mark to be sitting at home because he got his kneecaps broken because of some mistake at work, yet he can watch this meeting live, he can see the slides, he can see the presenter, he can hear the presenter, he can ask a question by raising his hand, we can answer his question, he can speak to the audience. We're looking for GoToMeeting, WebEx, that sort of a way to allow people to remotely participate in the section. Because we feel if somebody somewhere all by themselves in their basement can engage us live, then they're a potential member of SMPTE where they're not today, and we can deliver value to them and their colleagues and their geography. And the goal here is we have a huge geography in Canada, and we're one little section in the middle of Toronto. So we're going to look at how we can use telepresence to expand our scope of our meetings and our membership. We're also going to look through, using that, we want to look at section expansion. There's nothing, from here to the West Coast, there's nothing. All the way to Vancouver, the Vancouver guys drive down to Seattle for the Seattle section meeting. How sad is that? So we're going to try and figure out ways to embrace colleagues and professionals from here west. Try and somehow find a way to service them as SMPTE section members. And it wouldn't be the Toronto section, it would be, I don't know what we call it, I don't want to call it the Western Canadian section, but anyway, the non-French Canadian section, I don't know, we'd have to figure that one out because there's Montreal. And maybe we collaborate with Montreal to do this, I don't know. We're looking for ideas, we're looking for help, but we have a huge surface geography and we have people out there who do what we do. So this is something we're interested in as well. And then the third thing is collaboration. We have a number of sections within our own time zone. One is Rochester, just across the lake. They're a small section. They've had some trouble over the years with membership numbers because of changes at Kodak, which was a huge amount of their membership base. They have currently some new board management going on down there, and they're interested in bringing some more life to their section. And if we had telepresence, they'd be sitting in the theater in Rochester right now watching us or us watching them, and this would be presentation one for both groups, and they'd be hosting presentation two that we'd be watching over the web. So we'd like to look towards more and more of this kind of collaboration, so that when George Lucas does go to Atlanta and give a presentation one night, we're part of it, rather than, oh, we can read about Atlanta's great meeting. Atlanta is another section in our time zone that are very, very interested and active in this way, and we want to get involved with them. And if somebody wants to help us with this, there's sections all over the world. We have time shifting issues if we want to collaborate with Australia, but if they have a really, really cool presentation, if we have a collaborative mechanism in place, there's no reason why we couldn't replay the GoToMeeting of that one presentation as one of our presentations one night if it's really kick-ass. We can even go so far as to prearrange with them to have that presenter on the phone at the end to answer questions live as though they were here doing it. So there's lots of stuff we can do, and we can't do it all ourselves by the board, so if people would like to help and get involved, please speak to one of us here at the meeting tonight or just drop an email and we'll follow up with you. And then one last little piece of housekeeping. If you attended boot camp in June, our fabulously successful, wonderful boot camp, not everybody picked up their participation certificate, so they will be at the front here on the table at the end of the meeting tonight. In case you missed them outside before the meeting, please come up and grab it. And with that in mind,